Hi, my name is Michael Seabaugh, and I'm the author of Gwendolyn and Eddie, a novel that takes place from 1957 to 2016 in the historic Mississippi river town of Cape Girardeau. Why there and why then? These years were a time in our country's history of profound social changes and upheaval, beginning with JFK's assassination, followed by the Vietnam War protests, ripping our country apart, the 1968 Summer of Love, ushering in a sexual revolution, the fight for women's rights and gay and lesbian equality, the Watergate scandal that shook our democracy. That's a vast territory to cover, and instead of writing an epic, I thought it would be more interesting to focus on the impact of these events on one woman living in a small Missouri town. Gwendolyn Bullinger, the protagonist of my novel, is an essentially conservative woman. By that I mean she is dedicated to conserving her version of an upper middle class dream of domesticity. And all she had to do in order to accomplish that was to marry the prince, the dashing Dr. Paul Stanley Bullinger, and then be the perfect wife, the perfect mother, and all would go as planned. Well, like in life, not all does go as planned. Enter Eddie, a drunk capuchin monkey brought home by an equally drunk Paul Stanley one dawn in June, having won him in an all-night poker game from his cousin Busby. Thus begins the chaos that enters Gwendolyn's well-ordered life, challenging her as she struggles to hold firm against the wildness of her monkey and her husband. Eddie is a disruptor, and as monkeys are wont to do, full of mischief. Ultimately, he will become her clown prince, her confidant, and in the end, her solace. I had long thought I would write a novel about a monkey and his comical hijinks. I had actually grown up with a pet capuchin monkey. Maybe if I had, I could have a better shot at becoming a bestseller. But as I got into writing it, I was struck by a disturbing realization. How is it okay to keep a wild animal in a cage throughout his long life? This disturbing reflection led me to think about the cages we as humans exist in, either by choice, by imposition, or by fate. Gwendolyn is trapped within her golden cage of privilege. Paul Stanley is shackled by his alcoholism. Romaine, their black housekeeper, caged within the systemic racism of her time. And then there's Eddie. Will any of them find the key that will unlock their cages? Will any of them find their freedom? Well, you have to read the book to find out. And I hope you will.